and welcome, mourners. You are listening to Dirge of Mourning's Coffin Carrier. I am your host, Andrew A. Graves, alongside Terabella Thorne. In this episode, we'll be looking at a Canadian blackened funeral doom band called Graven Dusk. With their self-titled album, we picked a track called Veils of Remembrance, released in 2014. Fuck me.
Here he goes again. Okay, so what?
That
what?
was awesome. I haven't heard that song in a long time. Oh, where to start? Of course, the music. So, the first thing that people will notice when they go and listen to the song is it's got a very dark atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
That's because it's a mixture of black metal and funeral doom. So the sound quality is going to be a lot darker rather than a bit more, not so much theatrical, but more of a lighter tone, shall we say, compared to other bands.
Yeah.
So the guitar work, phenomenal sound. The drum beat,
I really enjoyed the drums in this one. I liked the percussion in this one a lot.
oh yeah, that's really cool. The other element that I thought really lended itself to the more darker atmosphere and what gave it that funeral doom quality was the usage of the vocal technique. It was sort of
definitely.
like, it was distant, but it was still forward enough.
Well, this is the kind of whispery, kind of atmospheric voice that I like for some songs. I mean, I don't want to listen to it every single time I hear a song, but I enjoyed it with this. I thought it went perfectly with the music and the lyrics. And it was it did give it a sort of a dreamy or a dark dreamy quality.
It was kind of like a haunting sound to it.
Yes, that's a good word as well. It had a certain, I always use this
mysterious
word,
essence.
Yeah, like a sort of a gothic-y vibe, but not really. I shouldn't use that word because people get they misconceive what I'm trying to describe.
Well, I would call
something old and dusty.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Basically, imagine you walk into a crypt and it's just full of cobwebs and dust for 1,000 years.
Right, that kind of a
creepy atmosphere.
A scenario, is sort of a place you might be or something. It just lends itself, I think, of, it certainly wouldn't be light outside. You might have fog. You might have, all the creepy sounds in the background, but then come in the beautiful lyrics. So.
I'm just going to jump straight in and tell you exactly my favourite paragraph. As angels wept, my life shall return to its dismal crypt, eternally.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's real pretty.
Nocturnal.
It's really pretty. Well, the one thing we should mention is that the placement of the stanzas or paragraphs of the lyrics is all kind of scrambled up. So if you
it is a bit, yeah.
If you do find and follow the lyrics,
you might be a bit confused to begin with.
Yeah, However, just reading through them, just absolutely beautiful. That is a beautiful, beautiful stanza. That's beautiful.
It's the one that stood out to me the most as being like the most powerful.
I mean, I like all of them. That's the thing. Like, they're talking about it just paints pictures. This song just paints pictures in my head. And it's almost like reading a book or something. You're just imagining a scenario or scenarios going on.
Well, again, it goes back to the whole idea that we've said before. Funeral Doom lyrics seem to have a poetic quality to them.
Definitely.
Like, when you read these lyrics and you start going, okay, well, what would that look like visually in your mind? It does paint those, like, images, like you're saying, you know, of, okay, what's a weeping angel? What's he actually talking about? Well, he tells you in the next couple of lines, there's a crypt. So he's talking about, you know, statues and tombstones and marble sculptures.
That sort of picture to me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, their album cover even looks like that. But
yeah,
I mean, it does give the lyrics lend themselves to that sort of feeling or place that you might be at.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Again, it comes down to how do you get a perfect balance if you're going to like add in a subgenre.
Right. So why is this together like that then? Like, how do they do that?
So basically it comes to the point where how far can grieving go? On one side you've got like what you would call like standard mourning for loss. But there's always that like darker edge to it that no one wants to talk about. Like, you know, meet up with family members and you're all grieving over the death of a loved one.
Right.
But there's always going to be that one person that feels just a little bit more than everybody else.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes.
And that's where I feel that the blackened side of Funeral Doom lends itself for that person that feels just a little bit more. You've got the power in like the guitar tones that are raw. You know, it's like a raw open nerve. You've got lyrics that are much more straight to the point. They're not trying to be fancy about, oh, I'm standing in the fields of Elysium. No, let's skip all that and go, no, I'm drowning in anguish.
Right.
The pain of this is so, like, disturbingly...
Well, you know, you mentioned, like, the person who might be, you know, a little bit, their grief might be a little deeper or something than some others, but, or that at least they feel it that way. So I do want to point out the paragraph that I like, and it was repeated at least 2 or 3 times. I was jumping around trying to figure it out, but I liked this one, and it does sort of point to that. Dismal winds mourn in solitude. Winter's fallen hopes lie silently subdued. Right. So you have the mourn in solitude. I do believe that most people, maybe I'm wrong, but I think most people keep their extreme feelings of grief to themselves, and they do it when they're alone.
Right.
Like you mentioned, you go to the funeral, you're with your family, friends, whatever, no matter whether how small or how big. And of course, during COVID, everyone was small here. They wouldn't even allow funerals hardly, you know. So you're mourning and you're grieving, then of course it's going to be private. And I think, you know, like, at least I can only speak for myself, my mourning of people who have passed, animals, etc., the basest level, the level where you are feeling your worst about it, or you mourn the loss the most, you're alone. You're not doing that in front of people,
Right.
you know?
See, this is where, like I said, the blackened element to your standard funeral doom helps you release those really dark inner emotions that you could be feeling, i.e., the thoughts of perhaps wanting to join the loss of the person. Maybe isolating yourself because you feel that you're so negative that you can't be around people. Adding a much more darker element to a genre that's already, quote unquote, depressing.
Right.
Allows you to come out of that stage of, being in solitude, having thoughts that, are probably negative. The paragraph here kind of sort of alludes to this slightly. The dark veil of death.
Yeah.
Getting the idea here that this person is flirting with these ideas of wanting to go beyond the standard norms of grieving.
Yeah, they're feeling very much alone, because at the last sentence of that paragraph, loveless life I deplore. So someone important to them probably has passed on, and they feel totally and completely alone. This is normal, and most people do go through these things. You do have to go through these things when stuff happens, and you eventually move on and pull out of it. So it's not, we're not sitting here saying this person's going to stay that way forever.
No, of course not, because
it's the moment, it's the time of it. Like this song, along with most funeral doom songs, are speaking of that moment, or those moments,
weeks,
months, however long it takes.
Oh, and it could take a long time.
It can.
But one of the things about funeral doom, and I would say metal in general, has this unique ability, other than any other musical style, to take people from a moment of any emotion that they might deem negative.
Yeah.
You put on a heavy metal record, whether it be funeral doom, death metal, black metal, etc.
Right.
Your mood over time of listening to that does start to change, and you start seeing the more positive things. So you start slowly coming out of that slump and going, I'm not as bad as I was X amount of time ago. I'm now in a much better place.
Well, I think this is what when we've talked about, this is what music can do for you. I mean,
absolutely.
Music can change you. And I think that this type of music is very much a proponent of that.
I've always looked at funeral doom as being a positive rather than the negative, because
definitely, I do too. I don't see it as a person. Like I said, not everybody listening to funeral doom is sitting around, depressed and ready to jump off a bridge or something. I'm certainly not like that. You're not like that. And I think it has the ability to take your darkest hours, your darkest moments, and put them out there in music and poem form.
Or even just visual art style, because if you can create visual images of what you're feeling, pictures of cemeteries, mood paintings,
which a lot of
things like that.
A lot of the videos do use, and it's very pleasant to. I mean, it's not like the most joyous moment in your life, but I mean, it's pleasant to look at.
Right, there's a huge artistic merit to it, and it helps again release all of those endorphins to promote more positivity, because you're not just lingering there going, oh, I'm feeling sorry for myself now, I just don't want to live anymore. It takes all of that and goes, no, here's a song like this, and goes, hey, we know exactly how you feel. Put all your negativity into this and channel it through this.
Yeah. I think what you just said, we know how you feel. And, that is a really cool thing to think that, some other people have experienced like these very dark moments.
Well,
and
plus,
so it gives you, in a very weird way, camaraderie of, that others can,
well, the thing is, I would say it more like this. There's the expensive route or the cheaper route for therapy. Music's the cheaper route.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and it's much more pleasant.
Absolutely, because you're not face to face with somebody. You're just listening to them express themselves, and you can relate to those things.
Right.
Instead of having someone sit there and be condescending for the most part, like your close friends, maybe a family member, all that, who just go, "Oh, it'll be okay." No, fuck you. It might never be okay. This guy gets it, or this girl gets it. They're telling me that they know how this pain has been. They've had it in them for so long, and now they're expressing it.
Yes, I do know that certain songs have helped me in my life.
Oh, absolutely.
Various periods, and you do tend to listen when you come across one that you find that really hits you. You do tend to listen to it over and over, and eventually you change and you move on.
Well, one of the things that I noticed for myself upon stumbling across Funeral Doom was actually at a point in my life where I had a tragedy happen. I lost someone very close to me.
Yes.
And I came across this music at the exact moment I needed it.
Well, that's wonderful.
And it basically gave me the outlet that I needed to grieve.
Right.
Now, I can sit back and enjoy the music for all of its wonderful musical attributes. It's got great attributes where you've got orchestration, you've got great guitar playing, perfect timed drums, bass that is heavy but majestic, vocals that invoke the correct emotions at the right time. Not a single note, not a single word, and not a single vocal expression is misplaced in this kind of music.
Right. There's a lot going on in Funeral Doom. It's not a simple type of genre to listen to. You do kind of have to understand it and pick it apart a little bit to get at the gist of what's going on. I think as far as this song, the things that I enjoyed most actually were the lyrics and the way the lyrics were delivered. That's what I enjoyed about it.
Oh, absolutely. Again, there's that, like I said, it's that darkened element that just helps, I guess, to be poetic myself, it lets your soul breathe. That's what I get out of it. It's like this element of, calm, peaceful, tranquility. Yet you've got this guy, doing this like blackened death growl in like, a haunted cemetery, basically. And it is just the most
really
epic thing
ever. The way it's delivered, though, is really, really soft and beautiful. In my opinion, I like this.
Right, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just the way it comes when it's all put together. It just comes out beautiful.
I almost picture the this type of whispery delivery being like an angel or a spirit sound.
Right, I sort of like a phantasm type of like feeling. You've got like this ghostly apparition type thing of like telling you, look, I've grieved for many a year.
Exactly. It does kind of lend itself. You can imagine all different kind of things, and I'm sure everybody has their own ideas, but...
Oh, absolutely. And it would be interesting to know in the comments section what you guys think of, like, the whole whispery style of blackened vocals in these types of songs. Yeah, I'd be very interested to know the thoughts and feelings you guys have on this kind of stuff. Also, don't forget, guys, links will be in the description for everything I can find on the band. Go out and support them as best you can. There's only one other thing we need to do here.
You need to do
scoring.
You do yours, and then I'll say mine, or they might be the same. Let's see what you say.
a solid 9.
That's a very good score. And I'm going to agree with that because I have definitely enjoyed this song. I've heard others similar to this sort of style. And yeah, nice song. Nice solid 9.
Like I said before, when you put all the elements together, you just sit back and let it take you on that epic journey. This is why it gets that solid 9. I think I'm going to now go listen to the entire album. I think I will. Well, that's going to do it from us here at Coffin Carrier. Until next time, mourners, remember, every day is a funeral.